Hello there. Though M. Night Shyamalan had already directed two films, one having never been given a proper release, and the other no one ever talking about, it was with The Sixth Sense starring Bruce Willis, which was a critical and financial success, and became one of the few horror films to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, that Shyamalan achieved his coveted auteur license. His following film, Unbreakable, which we're looking at today, was received somewhat less positively. It was a financial success and received modest critical praise, but it was seen as a huge step down from The Sixth Sense. Which is bullcrap! This movie is great, and it's also great that this movie is receiving the praise that it deserves, which I think makes it a cult film. Quentin Tarantino named this as one of the best movies made since 1992. Our story is that David Dunn, portrayed by Bruce Willis, is a security guard who is having marital problems and survives a train crash that kills everyone else on board, and leaves him without so much as a scratch. A comic book art dealer, Elijah Price, portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson, who suffers from a genetic condition that makes his bones fragile, hears of this and seeks David Dunn out, and informs him that he may be a real-life superhero. At first, David dismisses this idea, but slowly realizes that he is actually quite strong, and he doesn't get sick or hurt. Or in other words, he's unbreakable. This is not your typical superhero movie. There aren't any elaborate colorful costumes, there aren't any huge city-destroying battles, there aren't any over-the-top maniacally evil supervillains, and the movie is somewhat shorter than other superhero films. It's a smaller film. It's mostly about a man figuring out his place in this world. The feats of strength are smaller. The stakes are smaller. It's an intimate character piece about purpose, meaning, and faith. Bruce Willis is great in the role. His acting is subtle and understated, but you feel every emotion, every word, and his scenes with Samuel L. Jackson are really good. Jackson is also great as Elijah Price. In fact, I'd say that he's better than Willis. Not to detract from Willis, but Jackson is at a whole other level as a complex and sympathetic, but obviously psychologically damaged guy to David Dunn. And Robert Wright is also good as David Dunn's wife, and Spencer T. Clark provides a believable performance as David Dunn's son. Shyamalan's direction is on point. The framing is good, the pacing works, the cutting is minimal. Unlike most superhero films nowadays, or even back in its day, Unbreakable holds onto its shots, which I think adds to the performances as you see these actors giving long, unbroken performances. But Shyamalan is able to do this without necessarily keeping the camera static. Say what you want about Shyamalan, he's a good director. His movies may not always have the best scripts, but they're technically well made. There aren't really any action scenes in this movie. There's something of a climactic good versus evil confrontation near the end, but it's shot a bit more like a horror or a thriller. It's slow, creepy, and claustrophobic, and when Willis falls into a pool and nearly drowns, you feel that you're going to drown with him, and the confrontation doesn't end with a punch, but with a sleeper hold, and it's totally satisfying and cathartic. And then there's the twist. I think that it works, and that it's a logical place for this movie to end, and adds to these character arcs. Unbreakable is a deconstruction of comic books, and uses thriller tropes to tell a superhero story, with a stalker, domestic challenges, and a twist ending. If you have a problem with the ending, you don't know what movie you're watching. Unbreakable is a small and interesting superhero film, with two great central performances, and put together by a director that was at the top of his game.